Me and my friends joined a Pokemon Draft League. Every week we will face a new coach to determine who becomes the champion of the season. Will we make it to the top of the standings? What is going on today, and welcome to the IBL. This week, the Opalus Roaring Moons are facing JV, coach of the Atlanta Victinis. He has got a super scary team with one of the most broken Pokemon I think ever to exist, starting out with Great Tusk. He's got Tailglow, Manaphy back, Iron Moth, Scizor. His Terra Captains are Sinistra and Greedent. Overall, we're going to have to pull out a lot of stops to win this game. So let's look at the team that's going to do that. First, we are bringing Halston, the Urshifu Single Strike. We're bringing Choice Scarf this week with Wicked Blow, Close Combat, Zen Headbutt, and U-Turn. We're just making sure that we outspeed everything. It's a little bit tricky because the Great Tusk can always come in on our Wicked Blow. It's actually a very, very good check to Urshifu in general. So most of the time we're going to be clicking U-Turn in this game, I think, but it is here to apply pressure nonetheless because we have a few Pokemon that kind of take advantage of the Great Tusk if we can get them set up right. Next is one of those Pokemon that can do that, and it is Withers the Spectrier. We bring Spell Tag this week with Nasty Plot, Shadow Ball, Draining Kiss, and Will-O-Wisp. We're just making sure again that we're faster than everything with the rest and special attack, and we have Will-O-Wisp for the Great Tusk, for the Weavile that he has, and for the Greedent, because if Greedent comes then we can't hit it with Shadow Ball, but we can always Will-O-Wisp it and reduce the damage output that it does back to us. Next is Ketherick the Landorus Therian, and we're carrying the Rocky Helmet with Intimidate this week. We have Earthquake, Grass Knot, Stealth Rock, and U-Turn. We are making sure that we outspeed everything under us, and then we have the rest in HP with whatever left over in attack. This set makes sure that EQ into Grass Knot always kills the Great Tusk, so if the Great Tusk wants to switch in on us, we can EQ it, and then we always go a Grass Knot afterwards because we are faster than it unless they are speed boosting with booster energy or anything like that, but I would doubt that they are that this week. Next is Will the Revavroom. We're carrying the Air Balloon with Filter. We have Shift Gear, Terra Blast, Poison Jab, and High Horsepower, and we are the Water Terra type this week. This is just because Water is a better way to hit Scizor than going Grass and having to hit it with High Horsepower, so we are Terra Blast with Terra Water. It also hits the Great Tusk, and then we still have Poison Jab to hit the Manaphy, so we don't really need the Terra Grass this week, so we're going Terra Water, and we resist Bullet Punch this way, so it's just better to try to get some Shift Gears off. We're Air Balloon because that means we can get a Shift Gear off versus the Great Tusk if we want to. They have to hit us with like CC or Ice Spinner or Knockoff or something of that nature because they can't hit us with EQ. So hopefully we can get this thing set up and have another sweep like we did last week. Next is Shadowheart the Cyclizar. We're carrying the Assault Vest this week with Regenerator, with Draco Meteor, Overheat, Dragon Tail, and U-Turn. This is our main Manaphy answer, especially with Dragon Tail, because Calm Mind Manaphy or Tailglow Manaphy can both kind of get out of hand. So anytime Manaphy hits the field, Cyclizar is hitting the field, and it's probably clicking Dragon Tail because we need to get that Manaphy off the field immediately. Lastly is Popper the Dipplin with Eviolite and Sticky Hold. We're carrying Giga Drain, Recover, Draco Meteor, and Dragon Tail. We are just max defense this week because the Great Tusk is scary. We don't die from EQ into Ice Spinner, which is nice. And then we have Giga Train to always get that health back because we get like 60% back because Great Tusk's HP is so high. And then we have Recover and Draco Meteor and Dragon Tail again for phasing because his team has a ton of setup, and I really want to phase them out, especially for the Iron Moth specifically with Dipplin, because if Iron Moth comes in and gets the speed boost, that's kind of hard for us, and we don't die to a Sludge Wave, luckily, so we can always Dragon Tail that out and get rid of that booster energy buff. So that is the team. It's pretty fast, but that does not understate how scary his team is. His team is extremely scary and has got a bunch of setup options. Luckily, I think he has to respect Ditto on our side and hopefully not bring a lot of those setup options. So that's the team. Let me know if you would have done anything differently in the comment section down below. And while you're there, don't forget to like and subscribe. I am very close to the goal that we set of 350. We've got a lot of subscribers in the past week or so from the last video that I put up. So if you've been watching, subscribe, man. I think about 60% of the people that watch my videos aren't, so it'd be really cool if you did. And let's go on to the battle. All right, so we do see he brings the Great Tusk, the Sinistra, the Weavile, the Thunderous Therian, the Greedent, and the Manaphy. Now, we are just going to lead off with our Dipplin here because I am terrified of a Great Tusk lead. And I really want to anti-lead a Great Tusk lead because if I lead anything like Landorus, we don't kill outright with Grass Knot, and Ice Spinner would kill us. If he happens to lead Weavile, it's tricky because we don't have a lot of Weavile switch-ins, but he does lead the Thunderous, and I am very scared of a U-turn here into the Weavile. So I want to go into something that maybe stops him from going into Weavile, but the problem is I don't really have a lot. And on the off chance that this thing just decides to hit me, I decided I want to save HP on this because it can switch into the Great Tusk later, but if it takes any chip, we can't switch into the Great Tusk later. So I think my best bet is to just go into the Cyclozar here, which is exactly what we're going to do. And as we go Cyclozar, they do U-turn out right into the Weavile. So this isn't great for us because Weavile is hard for us to deal with. So I'm just going to go Urshifu. I figure a knockoff is coming. The Choice Scarf is not that important in the entire game as a whole, so I think I can lose it if I want to. And it's the only thing that lives a knockoff into an Ice type move, so we're just going to go straight into the Urshifu as they do click knockoff on us. Now here we're going to click U-turn because I'm pretty sure the Great Tusk is coming in, and that is exactly what comes in. So we click U-turn, and we go into the Landorus, and I'm kind of just bluffing fully special Landorus here, because if I am max special attack, this thing dies. So I'm going to bluff that and get my rocks up, because I want to make sure that if the Weavile's not boots, we've got our rocks on their side. And I think JV is smart enough to not risk his Great Tusk here, knowing that I could be fully special with Grass Knot. So he does switch out. He goes into the Sinister. We get the rocks up, which is really good for us. And then I'm just going to click U-turn the next turn and switch back into my Urshifu as he stays in with the Sinister and clicks Calm Mind. So we do see that it is a Calm Mind Sinister, and it is one of his Terra Captains. The two Terra types are Steel and Fairy, so he could Terra into Fairy here, but we see the Colbur, and that Colbur kind of solidifies in my mind that this is going to be a Terra Steel Sinister, because I would figure that if you're Terra Fairy, there's no reason to waste an item slot on a Fairy that you would resist otherwise. So we get the Wicked Blow off, and he eats his Colbur, right? And he does withdraw, and we're just going to Wicked Blow again because I figured the Great Tusk might come in, but I was kind of scared that the Sinister would try to scald me or something, and I didn't want to get burned, or I didn't want to U-turn and give it another Calm Mind or anything like that. So I just stayed on and Wicked Blowed, but now we're going to U-turn. And we're going to go right into our Spectrier because I want to block a Rapid Spin and I want to block a CC, and Spectrier does both of those things. So now I can just click Will-O-Wisp as he goes into the Greedent, which is really good for us because now we're just getting residual chip on this Greedent over and over and over, and its attack is halved. So eventually the Spectrier will be able to break through the Greedent. So we switch in our Urshifu here as they go for the SD, and I am thinking that the Great Tusk could come in again, right? He's been conditioning me to think the Great Tusk is going to come in. So I could try to call him out and see if he stays in because of that conditioning and CC, but he does withdraw, and luckily I click U-turn and he sends out the Great Tusk and we get the U-turn off again. So we go back into the Spectrier because this is how we can pressure his team right now. With the Greedent burned, it's going to take rocks damage, it's going to take burn damage, and it's going to take this Draining Kiss. And if he lets me Draining Kiss the Great Tusk, Spectrier gets a ton of HP back, so he's never going to do that. He comes in, he takes the rocks with the Greedent, he takes the Draining Kiss, and he takes the burn. So this Greedent is really, really chipped down, and I'm really feeling good about a Spectrier in-game, especially if we can get a nasty plot up. We're in a pretty good position right now, I think. So we go into Landorus just to hope that if the Greedent does hit us, that he takes some more Rocky Helmet chip, he takes some burn chip, and really just chips it down. But then he clicks Rest, and that is not great for us because that means we're going to have to do that whole sequence all over again. And the problem is he hasn't Terra'd yet, and Greedent is his other Terra Captain, and it's Terra it's Terra Ghost, and it's Terra Fairy. So at any point, he can just Terra Ghost, and obviously I'm not going to Shadow Ball into the Greedent, so he can Terra Ghost and hit Spectrier with a Terra Blast, which would be really bad for us. And those are the kind of 50-50s that his Terra Captains kind of put me into this game, because I always have to be thinking, what if he Terras his Greedent right now? So he brings in the Sinister, we get the EQ off, and I'm just going to U-turn here and go back into the Cyclozar, because Cyclozar can handle anything that the Sinister wants to do. And as we go Cyclozar, he just clicks Scald again. We don't take that much damage. The burn doesn't really matter because we are not a physical Cyclozar this week. And I'm looking at the calc, and Draco Meteor has a pretty good chance to kill if I'm right, and it just barely misses out, it was definitely a roll. He gets the Strength Sap off, and that's just bad for us, because that means that we don't kill here for sure, because we're at -2 unless we crit. So I'm going to U-turn out and go into the Urshifu here and just try to pressure it with Wicked Blow again, because like I said, I'm pretty convinced that if he is going to Terra this, it's probably Terra Steel because of the Colberry. So I decide to go for the Zen Headbutt here, trying to read the Great Tusk, and he does Terra, and he's Terra Fairy, which blew my mind because I was convinced that he was going to be Terra Steel because of that Colbur Berry. And he goes for the String Sap. We missed the Zen Headbutt, which wouldn't have even mattered because he would have gotten to full anyways with the String Sap. And we're not in a great position now because since this thing is Terra Fairy, that means neither of our phasing Pokemon can get it out because they're both Dragon Tail. And I don't think he has Terra Blast because he's shown Scald, he's shown Calm Mind, he has shown String Sap, and I'm guessing the last thing is Shadow Ball. So I'm not scared that he can hit the Cyclozar. The problem is Cyclozar just can't do anything back to the Sinistcha. So I go into my Landorus to try to just get an EQ off, try to hit this thing on the physical side, but the problem is String Sap. Like, he just keeps String Sapping over and over and over, and he's always going to lower our attack, and we've got to get crits and all kinds of other stuff, and it is looking like a lost game because we can't phase this Pokemon. I brought 2 phasing Pokemon, and we just can't get rid of it. I can't go Spectrier because he can hit us with Shadow Ball. It was just the perfect set to bring against us, and I'm trying to chip it down into range of Revavroom. So I decide I've got to sack something. So I go Spectrier, and I decide that Will-O-Wisp is probably the best thing that I can do here. It's just residual damage over time. And I'm looking at the Revavroom calcs, and it's actually so sad because Revavroom only does about 50 to 60 to this thing, so I need to get it into that range, but it is just so hard to get it into that range, and I can't shift gear because if he does String Sap, he just gets back to full. And the problem is now that he's at +3, so Shadow Ball kills. So we just go in and we hope for a crit. That's pretty much what we do. And we don't get that crit. It does about 60 to 65. And the Shadow Ball takes us down. And after that, it just continues to take us down. We just missed out on an EQ kill there, which would have been really helpful. But I don't think that would have won me the game at that point because I've already sacked both my win cons, which were Spectre and Revavroom. So it's just going to String Sap, and it's just going to take down the Landorus. It's going to take down the Urshifu. We're trying to flinch it with Zen Headbutts. It doesn't work. It's going to eventually take down the Urshifu. It's going to take down the Dipplin because we can't hit it. And it's going to take down the Cyclozar at the end of the game. And that's the first time in a couple years, I think, that I've been 6-0'd. And I think that he just found the perfect set to bring versus my team. I looked at my entire team afterwards because I was trying to think like I know for a fact I definitely did not give Sinistcha the time of day in prep, partly because he had so many other things to give the time of day to, in Great Tusk and Manaphy and the Iron Moth that didn't even come to the game, and I was just so worried about all those things. So I know I could have definitely dedicated a little bit more prep to the Sinistcha, but like Weavile 2 was so scary for us, so focused on those other things, and I looked at my entire team, my team of 12 Pokemon, and I think only one Pokemon would have been able to beat that set, and it was barring a burn. Like, if this Pokemon got burned, then it wouldn't have been able to beat it, and that is Bisharp, because Bisharp has Defiant, so being able to String Sap it, like, you couldn't String Sap it because you would always give me a +1 boost in attack. And then the 2 moves he brought, Shadow Ball obviously doesn't hit Bisharp that well, and then Scald can hit it, but it's not going to do a lot, but the threat there is the burn. So I think Defiant Bisharp would have been good to bring, and I almost brought it over the Dipplin, but the problem was I didn't want to give Great Tusk that many turns to come in on my team, and that was the problem throughout prep. His team is very oppressive, and I think he built his team in a better way to be oppressive versus mine than I built my team in a way to be oppressive versus him. I think without the Greedent, Spectre actually wins the game pretty early. I think maybe I should have nasty plotted in front of the Greedent. Who knows? There's a couple of things I could have done differently to try to keep pressure up on. And I think I had the pressure early, and as soon as the Greedent rested, a lot of that pressure went away. And then he was able to apply that pressure with a Sinistcha, and it was just one of those things where we were kind of even, and then he had the thing that swept me and got set up because, again, I just didn't apply enough pressure to it, and it sucks that it was a 6-0, which is, it's weird. The thing that I'm about to say is weird, because when you get 6-0'd, you don't feel like the game was close. But I think the game was close before that, and then I just blundered, and he took advantage of it, which is very good on his part. So definitely some things I could have done differently in prep and in the battle altogether, just giving Sinister the respect that it deserved. But like I said, it's very hard to do that when you're looking at a face of 17 tier 1s in a team. So that's a little rough for us, but luckily we had a big win last week, so we're far from out. We're 1-1 -1. It's like because we won 5-0 last week and then we lost 6-0 this week, so we're just middle. We're like in the middle. Sucks that we couldn't pick up a win, but I feel pretty good about the rest of our season, and I still feel good about the team. I think the team's very good. I am thinking about some Terra changes on River Room, just because I don't know how useful water is going to be from here on out, but we will talk about that in future videos. So that is where I'm going to leave you. If you like what you saw, like, comment, subscribe, and I will catch you guys in the next one. See ya.